Some responses and thoughts on the President's address this evening, announcing that the country is moving to alert level 3 as of midnight tonight. And we're now joined by the CEO of the Restaurants Association of South Africa, Wendy Alberts. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the programme.
Thank you so much.
I suppose every time the President speaks about a lockdown, your association has to hold its breath, because there's always the threat of more restrictions on how you can do business, particularly selling of alcohol.
Absolutely. You can just imagine the emotions that have been stirred up today in our industry. Our people are beautiful, passionate people who are energetic, and they just want to run their businesses. As we've seen through the last year of COVID, we're the only industry that always gets fractured, where there's always these difficult restrictions and a lot of problems being put on our industry for us to be closed abruptly or for people to lose their jobs. And it's been very difficult trading times for us over the last year. But what I can in conclusion say today is that we are really appreciative of where we've come with government since January. When I think back on how we stood as a very decimated industry in January on the brink of complete collapse, to where we are today, and how government certainly does recognize the integrity of the industry and doing everything that they can to be able to keep us economically open and to bring the least amount of economical impact on our businesses. So whilst we're not entirely happy with the entire restrictions that's been put on us, I think that, if I speak for all restaurateurs out there, there is a massive sigh of relief that we can trade our businesses, that we are still able to keep people employed in our businesses and still be able to offer the beautiful people who come into our businesses a wonderful experience.
All right, so immediate reaction to the restrictions then. The curfew hours 10 to 4, which means your restaurants need to close by 9. And I wonder, does that affect your businesses even more, or is that adjustment, it's about an hour, isn't it, in real terms?
Around about 2 hours, because we've had now a second cut in the curfew. So it has a massive economical impact on our businesses. Operationally, it is very challenging trying to get our restaurants cleaned up. In many places where restaurants are large restaurants, it also has a further turnover implication. The entire restriction now from that point of view leaves us to trading around about between a 30 to 50% capacity of our total space, operating at 100% expenses, and not having a full dinner time trade, which is 70% of that potential 50%. So you can see it does have a massive impact on it, and it certainly means that everybody that supports our industry really needs to open up their hearts to the industry and understand the imperative role that we play in the contribution that we make, not only to the GDP but total experiences. We're also the springboard into other retail sectors, into shopping centres, into opening up further economical lines that people spend money in. And we're certainly hoping that the landlords would have learned through the last year of lockdown, and that they will sit down with our operators and have conclusive conversations. We've been heavily impacted with the load shedding. Eskom has been a huge problem for us. We're working through those challenges. And definitely now we need to move through the stages with the banks, the landlords, and the suppliers in terms of supporting us through this time. We're making these huge economical sacrifices in terms to commit ourselves to bringing the numbers down. And we're just asking that everybody recognise that the industry needs support. We've been frail for a long time. We have been rebuilding the businesses single-handedly on our own. And now that we face further restrictions, we're always only reliant on South Africa, who loves the industry so much, to support us across the country. So it will be difficult times for us for the next couple of weeks.
There was great hope at the beginning of the year when the vaccine rollout was announced, and it looked as if that program was going to roll out quite quickly. This has been slow on the uptake, and does that mean that a number of restaurants this year have gone out of business, and that you're fearful that you'll lose even more?
There's so many levels of conversation that we have to have in totality. A year ago, none of us were COVID experts. We certainly have moved through the levels and the conversations. We have certainly opened up the ability for government to understand how complex our industry is, how separated we are from hospitality and tourism, how the restaurant industry in totality creates the number of jobs that we do, how we contribute to the GDP, how important and how imperative the combination of liquor and food sales is. So, we've gone through the complete transformation, remodeling on every level. And when we come through the height of the third wave and we're in it, and government has recognized how imperative it is for our businesses to continue to trade, we are appreciated to say, look, there is recognition and there's an understanding for the ability for us to trade through these times. Vaccinations was on the top of the list that we spoke about in January, and our frontline staff was certainly expedited in receiving those vaccinations. I think government is well aware of the shortfalls and challenges. Conversations like today and allowing us to trade through certainly highlights the commitment from government to shut down the illicit trade, which costs thousands of people jobs and hundreds of people their businesses. So, it's imperative that we keep closing that sector off and we keep having these open conversations about rewarding and recognizing an industry like ourselves for their contribution, for being compliant, for being taxpayers, and for being formal establishments who are custodians of liquor licenses. So, these are all good things that have come out of the learnings that we've taken over the last year. So, whilst many of these restaurateurs tonight are concerned about the economical challenge we've got, I can promise you that every one of these beautiful restaurateurs are committed to bringing these numbers down as quickly as possible. They're concerned for the people who visit their restaurants, they're concerned for the staff, and we will continue to advocate the highest degree of sanitization and ensure that we practice these good protocols and adhere to the regulations in playing our part to moving back to opening ourselves up as normal as what we've been over the last couple of months.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, actually, because at this stage, the public are being told to stay at home, social distance, and yet at the same time, these restaurants and the jobs that go with them are very dependent on us supporting your businesses. So I guess the message to customers is, are restaurants safe? When we come and arrive, will we be safe from COVID-19?
There's so many conversations to this specific point. And I think, what we need to look at is, everybody has been complacent in all degrees across the country through all different industries. It doesn't matter where you go, transport, retail, shopping centres. People have really relaxed, as we move through the numbers coming down. I think there was some form of hope that we were coming to a turn in the COVID. Like I said before, we are not COVID experts, but we need to respect it when the numbers are up. We need to respect what government needs when the hospitals are full. And we need to take care of all the beautiful people, our family, our loved ones in our immediate surrounding areas as the numbers definitely increase, and do our part to bring it down. So we can certainly say that we are a safe environment. We have got all the necessary controls. And what we have learned through the last year of COVID is that the super spreader times that happen is not in the controlled spaces. We custodians of liquor licenses, we know who is drinking in our establishment, how much they're drinking, and what their behavior is like. We don't know what happens in the uncontrolled space, in the lockdown house parties, in the illicit parties, in the cooler box parties, and all these different names that they give for these private house, clandestine environments that people have moved into. And what we certainly need to do is encourage that businesses can continue to trade in a safe advocacy that executes the highest degree of sanitization and keeping people safe. And that is a responsibility that rests on every South African shoulders. Whether you're moving from a petrol station or into a restaurant, we've all got to do what we need to do. And I think that we need to now become responsible and informed citizens of South Africa and do everything we can to rebuild this beautiful country and get it open and get tourism open, get the vaccines out and rebuild businesses and definitely create opportunities for job employment. Now winter is a difficult time. People are hungry. There is a lot of pressure. Again, UIF and TERS have not been forthcoming with any kind of conversation as to what's going to happen on the staff that we're putting on short time. So you can see we move through these difficult stages, luxury licenses to continue paying, liquor licenses, SAMRA. There's been no relief and rebate on that. And then the further threat of obviously Eskom that affects our businesses. It's challenging times for the restaurateurs, but I can again just show you that these are beautiful, passionate people who make incredible food and give beautiful experiences to people who come and support us.
Wendy Alberts, we're going to leave it there. We wish you the best of luck and strength in these difficult times. And please stay open. We love your restaurants and we'll support them as much as we can. So we wish you the best. Thanks so much indeed for joining us.
Good night.
Good night. That's the CEO of the Restaurants Association of South Africa, Wendy Alberts, reacting to the President's announcement earlier this evening. Restaurants will be closing at 9 o'clock. That's a little bit earlier than before, and that's to allow staff and restaurant people visiting to go home.